Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and I'm at my grandfather's house again, and it's raining, and the church outside, I don't know if you can see it, it keeps raining. My grandfather is an INFP, so I have been reading his books because obviously he has a library of books. And I wanted to make a video about identity and INFPs. And this is inspired by Dullus's reaction video about identity crisis and INFPs. And he says that INFPs don't have identity crises really. And I understand what he means, because it's not like we are just going la-di-da around. Sorry, this church bus. Okay, we're not going la-di-da around life and then like, oh no, we have an identity crisis. It's more like we are always refining our identity. We're always in the midst of our identity. We're always thinking about what we like, what we dislike, what we are, what's our place in the world, what other people think of us, what do we think of us, what do we want to become better at, what we think is important. All of that, all the time. And what people of other types don't see, because they see identity as like an object that they can see, but they don't, and that they craft, is that identity can change, but changes slowly for our INFPs. But we do have some say in it, and we can incorporate new ideas into our system. And it's not as fixed as other types think it is, and it's not like we have a book that we can read about what our identity is. And people think that it's like that the INFPs have a list of things that they are, and that they're not willing to change it. That list just doesn't exist. It's difficult to explain the world of feelings, but we base a lot of our identity on feelings. And I had an INTP go on my TI versus FI video, which I recommend. And he was very confused, because how could you base an identity on feelings? Well, basically he was confusing feelings with emotions. Emotions are transient. He said, well, how can you base your identity on something so transient, something that changes every day, something that is not logical? And it's hard to explain, but feelings are logical in that they have a cause and a consequence, and it makes logical sense. It's just not quantifiable in the same sense as like facts. But like, if somebody says something hurtful, then you will get hurt, and then you will cry. It's like the basics of feelings for the TI users. So there is a logic to it, and we are constructing this logic, and we are incorporating that into identity. It's a strange world. It's a world of feelings. And it kind of reminds me of The Little Prince, where the little prince is with a strange and mysterious world, the world of tears. And that is how it is. It's hard to explain something so mysterious as the land of tears, the land of emotions. We are inhabiting a land of emotions. But these are things that make sense to us. And instead of like seeing the thing and being like, what is this like? Or saying that, oh, I can just build this and it doesn't grow organically. For us, identity grows organically, and we are in the midst of it. It's not something outside of us. It's like if other people see, well, if other people see a ball on the table, they are not inhabiting the ball, which is what we do. We are inside, and we see the identity is always, we carry it with us all over the place. So we are in it, and it's kind of a comforting place. But it's not like we are shocked if something happens, because we have already seen all of the different facets of ourselves. We're already prepared for every eventuality. We can see ourselves do many different things because we've seen all the possibilities through our any. We can see ourselves do many things. We can see that some things are more likely than others. But it's not like we are having an identity crisis if we do something, or we see something, or we get some other information that isn't our usual self. We can incorporate that into our identity, and or not. We create this garden that we are sitting in. So yeah, it's hard to explain. I've been reading Camus' The Stranger, because I realized that I should read some book, and I saw that book on the shelf, and I realized that it's kind of a classic. And Camus is an INFP, and you can see that he's trying to portray a psychopath, kind of, or a sociopath, whatever, who doesn't have any feelings. It's very interesting to inhabit that view, because that's not at all how the usual way that I view the world. Everything is imbued with feelings. So to see Camus trying to embody like a very unhealthy ISTP or something like that, it's interesting, because I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that there are a lot of people who actually think like this. Maybe not to the point of like actually, spoiler alert, killing a person, but a lot of people don't go around the world feeling things or imbuing it with meaning, or thinking about abstract stuff. Some people just walk around and in their sensory world, and are indifferent and not questioning things. INFPs are always questioning. They're questioning their motives, their identity. I think that INTPs maybe are questioning like the world and how it works, but INFPs are questioning ethics, feelings, that kind of thing. And since we're always questioning, we it's not like we have a fixed identity. But yes, we are very close to it. That's what makes us self-aware. And that's what makes us invested in our identity, is that we're very close to it. As opposed to other types that are basically observers of their own life. I'm thinking of a lot of TI users, INTPs, INFJs, ISTPs. Most other types are a little bit more detached from their sense of self than INFPs are. Because FI is really inside, and also INFPs have SI, which makes us even more inside ourselves, as opposed to ISFPs who are more NI, which is less inside the body. So INFPs feel all of this inside the body, and we are our identity all the time. I mean, it's kind of a dumb thing to say, but it's true. We inhabit this and we can go outside of it because we can see possibilities and stuff. But and then we can see when we test it out if we can incorporate it or not. And we're always crafting this, but from the inside. It's like we're decorating our house or something. It's not like it's something outside of us that we're observing from the outside and trying to analyze. We are in it, and we're always growing it. So that's why we don't have an identity crisis. We might have existential crises, but we are not having identity crises as such. I know that some INFPs have gone through big things, and they might have gone a huge identity change. And that might be, in that case, maybe there's an identity crisis, but I think that we're prepared for every eventuality. And I think that we're pretty smart about this. I think that we are self-aware, and it's not like an ESTJ, for example, walking around and doing all this stuff without any care for if this actually is something important to them. And then they hit a wall where it's like, wait, I've been doing all this shit, and then none of this is actually important to me. And then they get an identity crisis, which is kind of like a midlife crisis, where it's like, okay, you've been doing all this stuff, but where are you in all of that? Is that important to your life? INFPs are always thinking about where we are in our lives. What's our place? What can we do to change different aspects of ourselves? What is ingrained in us? What do we want to become better at? All of that. We're always thinking about that. So we're always in that space. We don't need to get into a crisis to get there. We're always there. And we're so used to it that it's not a crisis, But identity is a big part of who we are. I had a discussion with my INFJ friend when we first met, and this was a few years ago. And it was such an experience because I said that my claim was that identity was what is what I think of myself, and his claim was, well, identity is what others think of you from your actions, what you are. We've kind of managed with time to blend those two ideas together, because it's obviously a little bit of both. You're not the only one constructing your identity, because other people might see things about you that are relevant to you. And if you're only thinking about what you are to yourself, then you're missing a lot. But it was interesting that he thought his identity was basically just based on others. And that was very strange to me, because my identity was based on what I think of myself, which of course can be flawed. So it is obviously a little bit of both. But I think INFPs are very connected to that. We know what we think of ourselves, what our identity is to ourselves. It's just not very visible. Like it's more of a feeling than something that I can say black and white. INFJs are not very connected to their identity. So obviously he has to use outside templates. It's like when I was talking about the T versus TI video. He has to use outside templates to construct his identity. And he's not even constructing an identity, it's more like INFPs create a story of ourselves. INFJs don't really do that. They are observers on the outside of their life. But in order to have a consistent sense of identity, you could say, they're basing on their own thoughts, but on other people's feelings about them. But INFPs are constructing their identity based on their own feelings, but we get a little bit sidetracked by other people's thoughts. So yeah, sorry for going on a tangent there, but I did think it was interesting how some types aren't that invested in their identity, that see their identity as something outside of them, that see it only as a series of their actions. It's like when I was talking to the INTP on my channel, who didn't understand that feelings can be logical. They can be logical and that there is a cause and an effect. And that we are not constructing an identity on emotions, on transient emotions. We're constructing it on feelings of what is meaningful to us, what person we want to be. So yeah, I'm leaving a lot of this out. It's very hard to explain this, but I hope that I could give some insight into how INFPs think about their identity and how we inhabit it, and therefore are not very prone to identity crises. Of course, we can have them, I guess, but it's not like some YouTubers think. So yeah, please like and subscribe. Have a great day.